Hi guys. All right, so let's get to our conversation, answering the question, what have you been up to? What have you been doing? This is actually a part 2 from the video before. If you did not see that, I will put the link below. So this actually was going to be part of that other video, but I decided the video was too long, so I made a separate one. But before we get to the actual conversation, I want to make sure that I give you guys some sentence starters, some vocabulary, some things that you guys can use to have this conversation on your own, perhaps with each other, perhaps with a native speaker. All right, so the first thing you're going to hear is a reference back. You guys can use this in your conversations. All you're doing is referencing back something that was said before. So this can be something that was said in this conversation, which is what we're going to do. Actually, it was in the previous conversation. It can be something that was said last week, last month, 5 years ago. You just have to make sure they remember, but you're just referencing back something that was said before. So in order to do this, this cannot be the first conversation that you are ever having with this person. So this has to be someone that you've had at least one conversation with before. It can be one conversation. It could be your best friend. It doesn't matter as long as you have talked to them before. So in this case, our reference back is going to be, you said. You said that you like to do this. You said that you were going here before. You said that you've done this before. And then you're going to ask them a question about it. So you're going to reference back, and you're going to ask them a question about it. And it's a great way to continue a conversation, especially if someone has said something that you're kind of curious about. So in this conversation, you're also going to hear some questions. The questions you're going to hear are, what are you? And are you? So what are you? And then we're going to add a verb. What are you doing? What are you eating? What are you looking at? What are you looking for? All of those things. And the same can be used with are you? But usually, are you, we're asking, are you going somewhere? Are you going to do this? Are you going to be available? Are you doing this with me? Are we doing this? So what are you and are you are two questions that you will hear, and you can hear how I use those in the conversation. You'll hear them in lots of other conversations that I do as well. That way you guys can really get a sense of how these things can be used. So we have one sentence starter, one way to start a sentence that I want to point out in this conversation, and it is, I just. And we can use this in a lot of different ways. We can use this to kind of, if you're kind of being a little snarky, you can be like, I just want to say this, or I just wish you could be this way, or I just can't believe you've done this. We're kind of mitigating things, and we're being a little snarky, a little cheeky, a little tongue-in-cheek. We're joking, but also being a little bit mean. A tolerable amount of mean. Being a little snarky. So I just. Or we can say I just, meaning I recently did something, and that's how we're going to use that in this conversation. Maybe in a different conversation, I'll use it in that other little snarky way. If you guys want me to do that, then just let me know in the comments below. But in this case, we're going to use I just, referring to time. So I recently was doing something. So instead of I just, you could also say I recently was in France. I was just in France. I just wanted to go there. I just wanted to try that. So we're just talking about something that's happened recently, in a recent period of time. So now let's get into some vocabulary that you'll hear in this conversation. First word is multitask, and that just means you're doing more than one thing at a time. Look it up is a phrase that you'll also hear. Look it up, Google it. Those are things that you can use not 100% interchangeably, but if you can look it up on your phone or on the internet, then you can definitely say Google it. And so you're just researching. I use the term research loosely. You're just going to go and you're going to check on something. You think something is this, or you can't remember. In this case, it's going to be you can't remember when the start to a sports season happens. And so you're just going to go look. You're just going to go check. You're going to look it up and see when it starts. Run out of things is another phrase that you will hear. And run out of things just means it's all gone. you don't have any more. There's nothing left. I've run out of things to say. I've run out of things to do. I've run out of food. I've run out of books. I've run out of homework. There's no more left. It's all gone. Another phrase you'll hear, this one's very popular these days, is binge watch. Binge watch means you are watching a lot of TV. So when you're binge watching something, usually this is going to happen when you're streaming something on Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or any of those things that you have. And you're not just watching one episode. You're watching 5 episodes. Perhaps you're watching the entire season in one day. I am guilty of that. I have absolutely done that. Perhaps you're watching one series in 2 days or 3 days. You're just going through the whole season or season after season after season. I have done that too. You get hooked and you just keep watching it. There's not a specific number of episodes or a specific amount of time that you have to watch something for it to officially be called binge watching. But in my opinion, you got to do like at least 3 episodes. You got to be there for like a couple hours, 2 hours at least for it to be binge watching. Then we get into binge watching territory. If you should be doing something else, but you're still watching that show, you're probably binge watching. Wrapped up. So wrapped up can mean finish. You're done with something. But in our case, it's going to mean you are consumed. You are enthralled. You are really, really focusing on the thing that you are wrapped up in. Perhaps you're binge watching a series, a TV show, and you are wrapped up in what's happening and you just keep watching the next episode and the next episode and the next episode because you're all wrapped up in it. You're invested. You just cannot take your eyes off of it. You're just completely in your little bubble with the thing that you're doing. You're wrapped up in it. And so now we're going to have one more acknowledgement. I talked about this in the last video. Acknowledgements are things that you do in a conversation to keep it going, to let the other person know that you are listening to what they're saying. These can be nonverbal, just noises, or they can be words. And I introduced you to some of them for this conversation in the last video. And in all of the videos I do about conversations, I'm definitely going to give you acknowledgements because they are extremely important because they help keep a conversation going and they help you be a good listener. And the new one for this conversation is, oh yeah. Oh yeah. So you can say it different ways depending on how you mean it because that's how English works. The way you say it is half of the word. All right, so that is it for my preamble for all of the things that hopefully will help you have this conversation on your own. So without further ado, let's get into the conversation.
You said you've been watching a lot of TV. What are you watching right now?
Yeah, I have. I was watching a lot of sports, basketball and then the Olympics, but there's a lull until football starts, so I've been watching Netflix.
I know. I can't wait for football season to start. One more week, I think.
Yeah, I think it is one more week. I think it starts on Thursday. I gotta look it up. I've run out of things to watch. Are you watching anything right now?
I just started watching Outer Banks. It was really good.
Oh yeah, I watched that one too. I agree, it was good. But it was too good. I binge watched it. And I was so distracted, I wasn't getting any of my work done.
Haha, me too. Sometimes I like to watch shows that are only a little interesting so I can multitask.
Me too. I'm so glad I'm not the only one that does that. That's why I like watching sports so much. Half of my attention is on the game and the other half is on other things that I need to get done.
I do the same thing. But sometimes I like to get wrapped up in a movie or a series and only focus on that. I'm looking for my next great show right now.
Let me know when you find one.
You guys have some information so that you can have these conversations on your own. Go ahead in the comments below. go ahead and have some of these conversations. Use these phrases. You can talk about this topic. You guys can talk about other topics, whatever it is. And I will comment on your comments, especially if you guys are having conversations in the comments. That would be fun. I will absolutely let you know if it sounds natural so that you guys too can also speak like a native. Please go ahead and let me know if there are any words or phrases that I said that you don't know. If you have any questions, you can ask me those too. I will do my best to answer as many as I can. I won't be able to answer all of them, but I'll try. I'll try to get to as many as I can. If there are topics that you want me to cover, if there are questions or words that you want me to cover, let me know that too. And please go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel. I will have lots more conversations for you guys, as well as ways to improve your vocabulary, verbs, nouns, phrasal verbs, all the things, sentence patterns. We'll have lots of stuff for you guys soon. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.